far from like before there even was a dawn. So pure, so bright, falling from the skies above into our darkened fate. The time has come, walking through this world we bear the secret of our lives. The light we share, caught in destiny we shine, for we are meant to be the star guardians. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, we're running out of time, we're chasing the light. Gone in
Welcome back, LJLers. We're getting ready for game 2. On the blue side, we have Detention FocusMe up against Crest Gaming Axe. CJA just off a loss that's not going to feel great for them. And now they have to face down the scariest prospect in the LJL. And DFM that is coming back to form and looking more terrifying than ever. I think it's going to be a quick one. Midnight, you've got some strong feelings here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game, and you think that on paper, we were talking about this game before, and I believe it was you, Tibor, who said Crest Gaming is going to try and slow the game down and basically
I
try
hope
and
they
drag
do.
it out a little bit. Is what you were
Maybe.
hoping for. See, I'm
Maybe.
hoping for the exact opposite. I'm hoping for a game that is decided in the first 20 minutes. And here's my reasoning why, before everyone starts thinking, wow, he likes people who int. Yes, I do, but that's beside the point. DFM, in terms of just raw muscle, has more than what Crest Gaming can bring to the table. It's not a fair fight. You can't go blow for blow against DFM. It ain't happening. What you need to do is a cheap shot. And I think that's what Crest Gaming has to bring to the table. I'm talking something like, I don't know, win game, win lane, smash it in 20 minutes kind of draft. Like, I'm talking aggressive solo lanes like a Yone or even a Yasuo, if you're feeling that one for Nayu. Like, some aggressive Gouda. That's how you can take DFM, or at least throw DFM completely off balance by just deciding we win or lose in the first 20 minutes. Because that means that DFM haven't really got a choice but to respect you and respond to what you're doing.
So, Midnight, when faced in an impossible situation, goes all in, gets the strong cheese out of the fridge, and just
Oh,
says
yeah.
it's time to fiesta, baby. I was sort of alluding to maybe just not a dominating loss would be a great time. You know, anything else is acceptable. I don't really want CGA to slow it down, but I do want them to, at least flicker before the flame goes out. Melvin, you're in CGA's shoes. How do you approach this game? Do you get the Gouda out?
I think that CGA have shown such a wide variety of styles this split. They've gone from everything from the Karthus jungle to just playing it standard. And I think that they don't know how to win on most of it. They usually play exactly the opposite of how you expect for their current style, which I think means that they don't need to resort to cheese. DFM in the previous game, we were talking a lot about it off air with how they played against Axis yesterday, of they just hard stomped Inno on Gwen by drafting an entire comp that just made them sad to play the game. I think today DFM can't do that because no matter what you see pulled out by CGA, it's going to be executed on unlike you've ever seen before, which means that they should just look for something standard that they're comfortable with and say, all right, you do whatever the hell you're doing over there. We're just going to outstat check you in lane and then play like that. CGA have certain windows to win just by how wacky this team is.
All right, Melvin, keen to not see DFM go down the intense rabbit hole that is CGA's decision making when it comes to the style of game they play, the champions they draft. Midnight, did you catch much of DFM's games yesterday?
I caught a little bit, not as much as I was hoping
That's
for.
all right. That's all right.
I kind of got distracted by a Sengoku Burning Core game that I
Yes.
don't want to talk about.
No.
That may have caught my eye a little bit more. So,
In that
But
vein,
what I've heard-
then, with less specificity on yesterday, what do you look for a vanilla DFM game plan?
I think for vanilla DFM, give Arya his Twisted Fate, play around Unipon and Gang. I know, give Gang Unipon like the Aphelios Thresh that we saw last game. We know it does well.
It's like
Hell,
you
I
watched the
believe-
games yesterday.
I recall, I was thinking like, did I watch the games? I don't remember.
No, like-
And then I remembered, oh yeah, the 8-minute Immortal Shield Bow on Unipon. Yeah, I remember that. Draft the same way. Nothing's stopping you from drafting the same way. And hell, you could try execute the same strategy, because what's CGA gonna do? Right? Like, they can see it coming, but just because you see the freight train doesn't mean you're gonna be able to get out of the way in time.
If anything, they might spin around on the spot quite a lot to bend the path of the train for them from their perspective. Appears to be what I understand of CGA so
They're an
far.
anomaly.
Like,
is
I don't know.
CG
That's how I understand how you guys have described CGA to
Is
me in recent times. It's just a
CGA basically just Toph before she discovers metal bending.
potentially like a slight enigma that we're just gonna observe from a slightly safe distance. You know, we haven't got the red tape out, but everyone
Very
knows, like,
dangerous. Very
get-
scary.
don't get too close. They're spinning around quite fast right now. We don't understand why. In CJ's victories, is there anything you have found particularly impressive, or is it just all luck of the draw?
The ability to defy expectations is the part that consistently impresses me from CGA. For one reason or another, this team finds a way to play a late game scaling comp, scale brilliantly, and then do absolutely nothing and lose the game to an early game comp they have eclipsed in value, and then lose lane on a win game comp and win the game anyway. So frankly, this is just a game where it's actually just going to be watching DFM and just seeing how many of the weird things that CGA do they can actually play around, because they've been experienced with this team for a while in its various forms. They should be all right handling it, but frankly, it would play perfectly to the script for DFM to get interrupted on their 7-game win streak by CGA doing some very strange stuff.
All right, and with that, hopefully CGA can sort out this internal calibration issue where things don't quite look the way they are, and if they sort it out in front of DFM, what a time to come alive. We're going to throw it to Pick and Ban for Game 2. Midnight and Melvin, take it away.
Well, let's waste no time. Dive right into it with DFM's first 3 bans. Nothing surprising across the wheelhouse here. I don't think the Xin Zhao, the Gwen, or the Lucian come across as a surprise, Melvin. And on the other side of the board, CGA, the only thing that surprises me is the lack of a Twisted Fate ban at this point. But they have that 3rd ban. Oh?
Okay.
Could it?
That is
Oh, boy.
definitely a hover. One thing I will comment on is an issue that I'm seeing with DFM is, despite yesterday, they let the Gwen through and had the ultimate Gwen counter comp ready to go, but they still ban it on blue side, which is kind of worrying to me, as it's indicative that they just don't seem to want to play it, always defaulting to this set top lane pick. Hovering the Ziggs, I was almost excited for a second there, as now it will be CGA's turn to decide if they are going to put Milan on this Ziggs or potentially send it over to Nathan, or if it's just going to be left to slip through draft despite being banned out in almost every other game everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, this game feels very weird with the banning phase, because LeBlanc has gotten through, Aphelios Thresh has gotten through, Gwen didn't get through, but there are still a lot of champions that you typically see banned that have gotten through no issues. And now you have to start debating, well, do we want the Ziggs? Do we want the in this case, do we want the Varus? What are we going to pair up with the Varus? Do we take the Thresh? Do we take a Leona? There are so many things you have to start taking into account. It's the curse of choice. You have too much to go. You look a kid at a candy store, and in this case, CGA finally decide that they want the Thresh instead of the Leona.
I think that part of what you're saying is definitely contributing to it, but also looking at the things that were banned, stuff like the Renekton, the Irelia, the Lucian, the Xin Zhao, these are champions that can warp a lane phase early, even Gwen, that can find cheese kills, these kind of things that could just shift the dynamic. And DFM, they want to go for as average a game as possible. Locking in the Aphelios plus Nautilus, that is an aggressive combo that has no way of keeping the Aphelios safe, which means DFM have now committed to running forward into CGA. I really like the Graves as an answer into that, because it makes an ADC's life a living hell. We'll have to see if they do go for that, as they are throwing around some hovers, so I won't allude to anything else that they go for until they lock it in, because there are a lot of powerful answers. The Diana is one that is still open, and of all those bans that we expect to see is going to be what CGA lock in for.
Yeah, I really like the Diana here. Because, as you talked about, the Nautilus can't really protect the Aphelios. Nautilus is more as an aggressive champion than anything else, and so that means that when Cassin on this Diana says, hey, I want to dive the backline, so far the only person stopping them is Ebby on the set, because you can grab the Diana and slam her into the ground about 10 feet away from your AD carry. So I'm interested to see what does DFM do. I feel like DFM needs to commit to something defensive, right? Because at this current point, you basically said, good luck, Unipon, you're on your own.
Okay. Okay. That is a Tryndamere ban. Are they spelling something, or I don't know. I don't think so. Alright, so Tryndamere has been played a fair amount in the mid lane, and believe it or not, I actually did some scouting, and I saw that Nathan had practiced it a decent amount. So, I'm not going to get too much into that because it's banned. It was something that I just forgot that I had even looked at because it was how obscure it was. But long story short, it's meant to be a counter into Gwen, who is banned, which then dictates the question, why are you banning it? Which means that now, I imagine DFM are maybe going to just completely disregard any defensive nature, because Tryndamere could just go infinite HP with the Undying Rage and be a nuisance for Utapon in the late game. That's the one bit of logic that I'm going to give to that. It's banned now, so I'm not giving it any more of the time of day, as we see Rumble Volibear banned away from CGA, and DFM finishing it off with a Yasuo.
Yeah, so it's pretty much saying, look, good luck if you dive, is what that is. The Yasuo, I'm a bit surprised by, honestly. It seems a bit unorthodox from what we've seen from Utapon, and the mid lane is... I look at mid lane, still no Twisted Fate ban. We know Arya loves that champion. Still no LeBlanc has been touched either. These teams aren't looking at what we consider the highest priority picks and saying, yes, this is what we want. Like, you got the Mundo, sure, that's a good matchup into the set, but now there's nothing stopping Arya from just grabbing whatever the hell they're feeling like.
And the thing I will say is now there's two really solid targets for Ebby on this set to ultimate back into that immobile Varus. If you do get that shield blown off of the Mundo, which, fun enough, Gang will easily be able to do on this Nautilus, even an auto attack could take away that one. It leads Ebby to be able to dunk back that massive HP target into a backline. There is a reason for that Yasuo ban. It's because when you have the Diana combo, it just locks people up. We saw it a bit at MSI with Damwon, I believe, pulled it out initially. It's disgusting.
True.
If I'm not mistaken, they may have actually pulled it out against DFM. So you know what, maybe a little bit of the PTSD factor coming into that ban. We do get Arya's LeBlanc, and they are now just debating what to give Steel. Dear God, no.
There it is. There it is. Keep the 100% win rate alive. We know that Strikebreaker isn't as good as it used to be.
Stop!
But
Why?
Steel doesn't give a damn. He wants to keep the 100% win rate alive.
I don't know if this is the game to do it, because you're against CGA. You're banking a lot right here, as they have gone on record saying that they are just going to play it with LeBlanc whenever they are given the chance, and neither of those champions banned, so of course that means we are going to get it. That looks like it will be, unless we get a bit of shenanigans. Nathan immediately taking the Lee Sin into the Blanc. Makes sense, pairs well with the Diana in the sense of you have a mixed damage portfolio, and two tools for revealing invisibility against a Shaco and a LeBlanc is going to be notable as we get into this game, for being able to spot them when they go for their tricksy stuff.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting draft coming out from the likes of CGA. I like the Mundo. I love the Varus paired up with the likes of the Thresh, because it does really well defensively. And the Diana and, of course, Nahum's Lee Sin, I think, have to perform well this game. I don't feel like you can kind of have an average performance here, because look what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the double clone combo of Shaco LeBlanc. Like, I feel like this is going to be a 2v2 fight that is just going to sort of escalate very, very quickly. At least I'm hoping for it. I really hope that's what turns out becoming.
And I do hope that we see the full-on lethality Varus this game, as opposed to the on-hit variant, because you usually go for the actual crit, attack speed, these kind of things, against a lot of tanky frontline, while Steel will most likely opt for a tanky Shaco build, as he has done in the past. Taking a look at this opposing team, Milan's best course of action is to continue with what he's good at and go full utility, long range poke, and just try and chunk Utapon out so they don't get to play the game. Getting things like the Serpent's Fang to fight against the presumed Immortal Shield Bow we'll see picked up, and being able to chip down, because if you chip Arya down below 40% and they don't have that clone, that makes them really susceptible in these fights for being immediately Chain of Corruption, the point and click ultimate that Nahyun can chuck out with the Dragon Strike. All these kind of things that can not necessarily hold a LeBlanc still, but at very least make them back off, because we know for a fact if Arya gets unhinged in one of these fights, they are going to kill Milan without relent.
No. And Milan's already felt the wrath of LeBlanc once today while playing the Jhin. I don't feel like Milan wants to have a repeat experience in this particular match here. And there is at least some saving graces, right? You've got the Thresh for Alchemy instead of the Leona from last game. Some more defensibility coming through. And of course, we know what happens when Dr. Mundo and LeBlanc clash. LeBlanc throws up a couple of abilities in and then runs the hell away because she remembers that she can't hurt, Dr. Mundo. So the skirmishes, I think, are going to be the most interesting thing. And I think a lot of it for me, I talked about my interest in the mid lane, Steel. Why? Why the Shaco here? I love it. Don't get me wrong. As you said, they've got on record saying we'll take the double clone combo whenever we can. But like, why?
He is very proficient on the champion, but I have to agree with the why this game, because I'm looking at the targets for you to go for an assassinate. You can't kill Nap. You probably can't kill Kassin. If they have Red Smite available after that point, then they're going to at very least be able to challenge you. Also, when Diana goes for that big ultimate, because Shaco will have two people via the clone, that'll mean the ultimate from Diana does more damage, so it makes it very scary to contest those kind of fights. Nahyun doesn't have to fight the Shaco and can keep them revealed when they try and run away. It's realistically just a we really hate Milan game right now, which is, again, going to be pretty logical and sad for Milan, because his potential lethality Varus is the only real answer you have into Utapon right now. We'll have to see how this game plays out as we are kicking off.
Yeah, get things started off with a bang as you take a drink of whatever. I don't actually know what that drink is. I assume it's some sort of like vitamin
I got a long
supplement
thing from Initialize about whatever the drink is, but that was a little while ago, so I'm not going to pretend that I can recollect it.
Yeah, I'm sure we got something about that. But instead, let's just talk about League of Legends. And it looks like it will be a bottom side start for Steel once again. And CGA aren't looking to contest it. I mean, last time we saw the Shaco Steel, I remember casting it. There was an invade to disrupt the box start, and it worked out brilliantly. But it looks like CGA isn't really interested in that for this game.
And the part that worries me is you've seen this Shaco pick now 4 times, I believe it was at this point, by Steel. You have to think of unique ways to handle it at this point. We do have Nahyun walking over. This is something, actually. They get the ward down, but I really hoped he was just going to walk up and press E and steal all the Raptors. If he had done that, that would have disrupted Steel massively. But it's just the kind of thing of, when you're playing against such a unique champion, they have weaknesses. There's a reason not everybody in the world plays this Shaco, as I'll stop there for the big trade bot lane.
Yeah, big trade bot lane and a big bar at the bottom of the screen saying who Twitter thinks is going to win this match. I don't really blame the 90% for voting the way that they do, honestly. Personally, yeah, I agree with them. I think DFM's in a good position. I think that pound for pound, they're stronger, and CGA is going to have to pull out the cheese, which ironically is Steel's job on the Shaco. So we'll see how that goes. As Steel, the camera loving to show off Steel's farming capacity down in the bottom lane, and slower game to start with for now. And Arya, come on.
He barely spots it. They do have the information now of which side the map Kassin is walking towards. I don't think they saw him with the buff, though, so there's the potential that there could be questions. They are pinging the top side, actually, thinking that potentially they either came from that route. We'll have to see how the actual team positions around it. If anything, the only team, or the only area this is important to, is the bot lane, because it's very key for Utapon and Gang to play around this Diana, because the Thresh is solid setup for being able to actually keep them still, even if it's just faking them overextending and making DFM commit to an engage. They do have the ward down ahead of schedule, but Against the Lantern, there's always the potential for a long-range engage into this bot lane.
Yeah, and there's even the potential of just a fake, right? Alchemy can just walk up forwards, throw the lantern behind him, even if Cassin isn't there. And DFM have to respect that. DFM's bot lane will be forced to back away completely under the threat of it, especially because Steel is topside working on the Scuttlebug, and that should basically tell Udapon and gang, hey, Cassin is bot lane, be careful at all costs. Like, flash the hook level, be careful.
And for a little trade here is Nathan. I noticed that there was a little hover, and I suppose we should bring attention to it, but I'll wait until after this play happens.
Ooh. Yeah, we're seeing Nathan potentially in trouble. Steel popping up out of nowhere, throwing the box, and Cassin flashes into the box. No! Oh, man, that's the most tilting experience as the Diana, and Steel is cackling to himself after pulling that one off.
And Arya is in a great spot right now because you want to help the Lee Sin push in the mid wave, but you're Diana. You do not have the range to do it. They're going to contest the Raptors to at very least make some form of punishment for the Igniteless Shaco here. But I think the box might steal a lot of these Raptors. Oh, he gets all of them.
Oh, I guess the Raptors not able to get the big Raptor, but still, I think that's more than enough to look at Steel and say, yeah, look, it could have been worse. Right now, you get to go topside, your Gromp's available, you can recall, grab. I'm curious, do you think Steel's going to go for the Stride Breaker again, despite the nerfs that it received? Like, is that what's going on?
I think that they still have to go for a Bruiser build because there's a lot of burst on the opposing team that can handle them if they go for anything but a tanky build. I don't know if they will still go for Stride Breaker innately. Part of the reason that it's good setup is for your team to be able to go in, so I think this game, DFM's game plan, if they do go for that, is Stride Breaker, put down a box, and then let Ebby come in with a massive set ultimate, is kind of the wombo combo. It's not as good as when they had the Rakan as the additional setup, as this is just junglers fighting over Raptors at this point, but still no smite available. This is just going to be raw contest. They do barely pick it up, though. Is going to go into DFM's favor, kind of equalizing that trade, while Nathan is finally allowed to CS again after that dire lane spot he was put in a moment ago.
Yeah, he should be able to mostly catch up to Arya's, superior CS numbers, but I must say, this style of jungling from Steel, the constant trading of the Raptors, the constantly basically finding Cassin and saying, hey, fight me, idiot, I really like it because this Diana isn't allowed to do anything. She just has to farm and make trades. She's not really allowed to gank anymore. Burnt the flash before. And if memory serves, Diana loves ganking. She loves doing setup for her own lanes. So it's really awkward to see the Diana of all champions basically being told, look, you're not allowed to gank, so don't even try.
Post 6 is really when Kassim will come online with these ganks as, not going to get greedy and try and sneak ahead. They are in lane right now, and one of the reasons that they are able to gank like this is because of how quickly they farm. Not getting spotted by the red trinket.
Yeah, Alchemy goes in, immediate TP into the backline. Unicorn does get hooked, and that could be a disaster. No protection from the dive as Arya and Nahun arrive in the fight. Milan getting nuked by a LeBlanc. That's a familiar sight as Steel running for the heal. Arya ready to body block if needed, and the bottom laners are the ultimate victims for the beneficiary of the jungle mid duo.
As Kassin picking up 2 kills right here, and I want to see them path from topside back down to bot and run it back. Because you see, they get in the bush, and this is Alchemy being so decisive right here. As soon as Gang walks up, Kassin positions back so they don't get spotted by the red trinket. So beautifully done. Just immediate commit onto Utapon. And they even get the follow-up hook, which means they die. Otherwise, they could have potentially kited it out here. And like you say, it's just the bot laners being the ones that take all the losses right here. The minion wave is just going to be left in a position that I don't know if it crashed, would have to see on live. But it looks like it has been DFM's bot lane that's able to pick it up, being able to get back in a better position here. So no big losses in the bot lane. Everybody realistically losing summoners, with the only survivor being Gang's Flash.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass, especially if you're CGA there, because that was meant to be your play, right? Like, you set it up with Cassin, you're like, all right, this is going to go great, we're going to have a gank, we got a flash engage from Alchemy, and you go even in a play that you spent so long setting up. It's very frustrating for them, because it's what we talked about before, but I wanted to see something out of CGA, something aggressive, something a little bit cheesy, and unfortunately, it's just been very much, we're going to go blow for blow with you. And as I said in the pregame, I don't think CGA is allowed to go blow for blow against DFM and win. I just don't think they're that strong of a team.
Well, I've got something encouraging for you. Part of
Okay.
that is setup. Because now, Kassin going immediately... hold on, okay.
Milan's like, wait a second, no, you can't do this to me. They blocked the ward. Oh, but he didn't get the kill. What is going on, Unipon? You gotta right-click the buddy. No! Unipon gets
He had to shut
outplayed.
him out. It was a shorter range weapon. The range on his guns differ, so he wasn't able to get the purple autos. Nap's now the recipient of aggression, but it's a Mundo, for God's sake. You can't kill him even through Ignite. As this is just going to be CGA getting ahead of the ball. I was going to say that's good for them because Kassin is walking bot side and is going to be able to go for the ultimate with Lantern play and just chain kill Utapon now. They are going to get the Dragon in between, which is actually quite good because a little bit ability haste on all these ults means they will be able to take these constant scraps. So, we've got flip plays on the map. And just watch right here. This is exactly the opposite of what we saw, where CGA started the play and came out net neutral. But this is now DFM starting the play and coming out as the big losers. And watch, right here, Utapon swaps to the Chakram to do more damage, but he then doesn't have the range when he's pulled on the tower with the purple gun, because if he swaps back, then he might be able to get the kill. I think it would have been just barely not regardless, as now Kassin ready for the run back right here. With the level 6, not spotted. As soon as they overstep, they will die.
Yeah, and that's going to be the hook in, gang. It's simply going to fall. Nothing Unipon can do. Oh my god, no! 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 Oh my lord, Milan! That is single-digit HP getting out, but are able to get out in one piece. But that was far too close for what was effectively an assassination on gang.
Only number that matters is hitting 0 on the HP bar, and this is the kind of setup that CGA need if they are going to be able to take DFM down this game. Because the Diana is a very scary answer to Utapon, who will not be allowed to play the game, and it puts so much more pressure onto Arya and the top side of the map, who need to be able to actually counter carry this and try and handle Milan, because if you just look at the... I'm going to call them the Bruiser group, which is everybody on the top side. I know that LeBlanc doesn't necessarily fit into that description, but the reason is they're all going to be the car champions that just go into a mosh pit, and whoever survives is just going to be based on the higher stats at the time. Kassin is very ahead of the curve, already at a mythic, which means in these kind of setups, it is going to be Steel and Ebby getting really punished by this Diana, because Arya can escape it, the other two can't. Which means that it's going to be Arya really needing to solo carry these fights if DFM are going to be able to slow down the aggression of CGA onto this bot lane.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be surprising in a way that the bot lane is where everything was happening. I was hoping for the mid 2v2 with Arya and Steel on the double clone combo to do really, really well, but it has very much been on the bottom side between Milan and Utapon, which kind of gets me to hope that we're going to see something from Steel and Kassim, because of course we know they've already done lane ganks before, but Steel's been very, I want to say almost passive, right? We saw him for the counter engage on the bot side, but that's really all that the Shaco's been involved in. Other than that, he's just sort of hanging out in the jungle, and I'd like to see something a little bit more from this from Steel Shaco. Like we've seen before, it did brilliant work. Now, I think he's just lost, is what's happening.
I mean, he's 20 CS down. He just doesn't farm as quickly as this Diana. There's a reason that it's such a meta mainstay at the moment. She is one of the few of those trinity of mages of the Rumble and the Morgana that didn't get consistently nerfed after they rose to power. And she has managed to hold that top spot at the moment as the best AP jungler. So it is going to be a real nuisance for DFM to handle as they're going for a play now.
Milan's been left on his own, and Utapon is going to nuke the health bar there. Gang not able to land the hook. That hook would have been death on Earth, but instead, Kassin might be getting caught out, instead backing away. Even Nahun running down from the middle lane. Dragon is a minute and a half away, yet the teams are posturing like it's already alive.
Preemptive is the word of the day right here, as Steel is just looking for an opportunity to kill this bot lane and shut down the Rift Herald to equalize. We saw how much Nephailis could do with gold.
God. Doing it again, going in. Alchemy getting the engage onto Gang, but Gang did hold the line. Utapon has got plenty of health to run with, and now DFM are going to try and turn this play around with Ebby diving into the backline there. Diana ultimate not landing on priority target. Steel does get a beautiful bait there, and Arya dives into the line. DFM low on health, but I think they got more than enough to work with. Milan has plenty of health. Arya is so lost. What is going on with the champion? No! Milan got tunnel vision to try and kill Arya. And now with the AD carry gone, Nap and Nahun are running for the hills there. The Doctor is tanky, but will he get out in one piece? Well, not really, depending on how your definition of one piece is for the good Doctor window, but 3 people didn't make it out of the fight there for CGA.
Arya had to solo carry the fights. Guess what he did? He solo carried the fight right there. I can't wait for the replay to see how well he styled. Let's take a look and just focus on the LeBlanc as soon as they shot, because this is CGA starting the ticket again, like we wanted to see. Every single teleport is immediately used, and watch on the far left of your screen when this LeBlanc ends up making their way in. Arya taking a conservative angle so they could get the best approach possible. Big burst combo onto Kassin immediately drops him, and then they're going to weave out of the fight and just lurk on the side. They end up throwing a little bit of damage, immediately popping back to the extra one, killing Alchemy on the end here, and then the clone is just confusing CJ because they have no idea where he really went. And just, it's disgusting because he survives on one auto and baits Milan forward, like you said, into their doom. It's a 1v5. That was a 1v5 with 10 people on the map.
That was one of the most disgusting LeBlanc plays I think I've seen, full stop. From that, even if the stats, 1500 damage, second highest for DFM, but that was just ridiculous. Goes and gets the kill on Alchemy, and then I think the more important thing is, oh my lord, they're actually going to get Nahun. No, okay, close, because there's a lot of damage from those sword boots, but then also the baiting of Milan in by just not dying to that last auto attack. Which, let's be real, if anyone else other than Arya was playing the LeBlanc, they'd have died to that auto attack.
Just the extra stats by having the Arya buff. Nameplates do a lot for a player. And when you see Arya's LeBlanc, this is one that needs to be feared. Oh my, okay, so we have got 2 dragons secured by CGA. They managed to pick one up in the meantime after that happened, so there is something for them. We do already have those Anathema's chains picked up by Nap right here. I'm assuming he's put them onto Ebby, because at least that way he has some effective stats against this set in lane. And I want to point out the fact that Ebby looks to be building into the Divine Sunderer, showing that they are going for a side lane build right here, where they just want to bully Nap on their own.
Well, the bullying is going to be on Ebby there, is not able to get a good showstopper there. The Haymaker is going to buy time, but nothing more than that. Steel can arrive for the fight, but unfortunately the fight's over before Steel even arrived.
So, fight continues, actually, I'll stop.
Yeah, bottom line, Chains of Corruption going down. Unipon is taking so much damage, but Milan is taking even more. Surprise, surprise there. One is the Aphelios, has the checkers dancing around. Gang does the setup. Arya on the bottom side. As there's a dive on the top lane. Steel is feeling it, though. Going for the 2v1 on the Shaco. Able to grab himself 1 kill on the top half of the map. Meanwhile, bot side, Alchemy did not make it out alive, and neither did his turret.
And it does mean that that gold injection will be going on to you upon the person that we said you need to shut down if you're CGA. But frankly, you have bigger problems now of this 5-0 LeBlanc, who is just existing in the game. And right here, it was a good attempted play onto Ebby, and they do get the kill. They don't really lose anything, but they overextend under the tower with Kassin taking so much damage and just gets popped by Shaco later on. As we see on the bot side, it looks really good for CGA initially, but then Milan walks into auto range of Utapon as soon as he swaps off of the white gun, gets obliterated by the bot lane of DFM, and Alchemy's just not allowed to run away, because guess who shows up? Oh boy, it's that Arya, and you're gone.
Yeah, and Arya missed the chain. It just didn't matter because of the extra damage coming through on the back end of it there, which is a bit of a problem when you look at the gold. Most gold is in Arya's pockets. I'm sure that's surprisingly a grand total of nobody. And second place is, again, not really surprising for the side of DFM. Utapon sitting very comfortably 300 below Kassin, who on this Diana has looked really strong. Like, the constant lane ganks have been really, really impressive. But while there's been a lot of proactivity coming from the jungler of CGA, I feel like the rest of CGA just isn't able to match paces.
That is a adequate assessment of the game, I will say, because CGA has been a bit all up in the air, especially on the bot side, where Milan and Alchemy's real job was just to poke out Utapon and not die in lane. And now Unfortunately, they have started dying in lane. Obviously, they didn't really get a say in the initial play where both bot lanes got aced, but after that, they haven't really been able to push their lead effectively, which is something that you really do need to do when you're the pivotal member of the team. If you look at how these teams operate, DFM, I'm not going to say don't have an answer to the Varus, because you have a LeBlanc and a Shaka who could jump on them, but those are the two champions, the Varus and the Diana, that pose you the most problems, with your best disengage being Ebby on the set. Again, it's still something, but then if you look at CGA, the people you don't have answers to is this LeBlanc and this Aphelios. So, what we're going to come to the conclusion of here is that DFM have answers to CGA's problems while they are limited, but CGA do not have a realistic answer to stop Arya on this LeBlanc, and Utapon will only get more disgusting as the game goes on.
Yeah, and that's just due to, as you talked about, how do you stop a LeBlanc from doing her entire Trixie thing? Well, hard crowd control. And ideally point and click. That's why when LeBlanc was super meta, Maokai was also quite popular, as Nahyun is in a lot of trouble. Cassin is nearby if they want to try and turn this around, but looks like they're willing to with the TPs coming through, but Nahyun is already gone. Now Nap is on the wrong side of the fight there, is able to flash get the lantern. The Gravitum is applied though. If they wish to chase this, there's no turret saying they can't, as, ooh, Cassin gets a nice setup, but not able to touch the backline there. Utapon is left free hitting with the Gravitum. Now with the Caliburn, will simply cut CGA down to size.
Have I told you how much I am not a fan of Dr. Mundo the Madman of Zorn? Because I am not a fan of Dr. Mundo the Madman of Zorn. They really do not seem to do much in these fights, and it really does require you to have a fundamental way of playing the game. I know what's happening, but it was inevitable. That's the only reason I didn't throw to you right there. They were always dead as soon as they showed their face on the same map as Arya.
That's a lot of damage!
Oh,
But-
yuck.
On the point of the Dr. Mundo. Now, I am going to preface this by saying I hate the rework. I hate the... I'll come to that after this. So, Nahyun is just... Oh, he's just
Dead.
greedy for the
He's just dead.
turret.
He gets the turret, but then he gives his life right here, and the worst part is Nap is the bigger loser in the equation, because they TP down and then have to invest the flash to escape, because of how much crowd control. Even the Mundo isn't safe there. If that auto attack had landed earlier from Utapon, they probably would have been left for dead right there. But the thing is now, Kassin counter dives in to try and get something done. But frankly, look, Milan's just not in the fight, and the reason that I didn't draw any attention to them is because I feel like they didn't want any attention on them, because the rest of the team just dies, and then Arya skulks them down after they walk into this box.
The box.
There's
And then,
nothing. You
yeah.
can't survive. It's just Arya standing there, and you're dead.
Yeah, that's the joy of the LeBlanc. Much like a typical magician does a disappearing act, but in this case, it's with your health bar instead of anything else. As, yeah, you know what, that damage chart looks about right. That's super rough. So, okay, I'll go back to the Mundo point, because I feel like I do want to cover that quickly. So, the problem with Mundo, and it's more so the problem with this version of Mundo, is before, Mundo was very difficult to crowd control because of the free tenacity he got in his kit. He had pretty decent damage output, and because of all the healing regen, you didn't have a choice but to focus on him. Like, because you could arguably kill an AD carry in maybe 7 seconds. Like, it takes a while, but you could do it.
It's
This
okay
version
time
of
for a
Mundo,
tank.
Exactly. 7 seconds is good for a tank. Because you don't need to build damage items. I know some people on Mundo like to build the
Titanic Hydra.
The Titanic Hydra, yeah, but it was optional. You know, it wasn't mandatory. This version of Mundo is great into bruises, but just doesn't do anything in team fights because he doesn't have the tenacity as Nahyun. I'm not
He's
so
lurking.
sure this is the play, buddy. I've seen Hoglet try this kind of play before, and we all know my opinions on that.
I think if they'd immediately done it, it could have paid off, purely because DFM wasn't able to collapse quick enough. But now, with everybody here, this would be a very scuffed play if he goes for it. So, looks like Nahyun is aware of that and is going to wait to see if DFM disperse and leave the bot lane mid.
Well, DFM decide we're going to start the fight instead. Flank TP coming through. Nahyun is finally getting involved there and now dives on a Utapon, who immediately flashes, and now Nahyun wants nothing to do with it as Ebi dives into the backline there, and Arya is there as well. So that's a nice backline you have there, guys. It would be a shame if I was to slaughter it in front of you. Milan died how many seconds ago there? Steel is able to help pick up the kill with Gang gaining the kill credit on poor little Nap.
3 wards invested right there onto the Thresh Lantern to deny Nap's escape, as they will now walk over and secure this Baron. I don't think there is any chance for CGA to steal. Nahyun isn't going to try and get tricksy with it with the Lee Sin. You are against the Smite, you're not the actual jungle of this game. Sad B emote is an appropriate summary of this game so far, as DFM will be able to walk away with 5 members Baroned up, going to come back on this map with a minute 40 until the Ocean Dragon. And let's take a look at how it happened. It was Nahyun fishing for the play, but Gang calls it first. Immediate obliteration onto Kassin, who is forced to stopwatch. Utapon flashing back so they cannot be kicked into a vulnerable position. Kassin ulted away, not that their damage would have actually done much there, and you see Arya was just lurking on the side. Once again, this LeBlanc is proving too much of an issue for them to handle. All the wards invested, it was just a tragedy right there. I don't know, you could have the tilde key toggled and it still won't do anything for you there.
That is more wards than your average Iron 4 gameplay there. Utapon is just straight up dead. There's
Okay,
no
I like that. I like that. That's something you could do. The
What?
double TPs to protect them. This is good. This is good because it buys time to keep DFM's Baron from actually getting anything done. And it means now that DFM are just kind of left waiting with a minute left until the Dragon. Yes, it may have been a little early to do the play, but I think it was your only opportunity you were going to get because Utapon has not been left alone very much this game. That was the first time you've seen it for a while. And now the only question is, can Arya get an obnoxious assassinate before the Dragon spawns?
Doesn't look like it. Not when the target is Nap. Don't feel like he's the person you want to try go for that assassination. And
16
so
stack
it
measures.
I mean, he just what's happened is that Arya has seen the numerous the massive textbooks that corporate Mundo has for the success of business and wants to rip a couple pages out. That's why Arya is targeting Nap. Obviously, it's the only logical explanation.
Makes sense. Every chain is an extra page for the book he's feeding up, as Steel is going to send the clone in to the death bush that CGA were putting together, and now this is just so awkward to fight as the corruption is invested.
Where's Nap? We cannot afford to get Nap in, and then Nap's passive was up. So the set shows up, does nothing as Dan gets a good engage there. Utapon save on the back line, and Infernum is good night, CGA. You fought like hell, but your health bars were deleted before you. Arya untouched, Utapon looking great. That's a triple kill, I'm gonna guess. I don't know Japanese that well, as the sad B of Nahyun is going to be what we put on his tombstone.
They eventually try and run away, but I feel like this is all futile right here, as Steel will eventually chase them. Oh my, this is just sad.
Can you out-tricky a LeBlanc, mate? That's not enough time, right? Is that enough time?
Oh,
hey!
Wow. CGA picking up the moral victory right here, as DFM looking for the actual victory, getting the bot lane tower, the Ocean Dragon, and now presumably going to look to Siege, but actually the Baron was wasted, so silver lining for CJ, you don't have to be worried about it, but watch this just hilarious Mundo interaction right here, where Ebby goes for it, doesn't realize the suit is on currently as he walks back, and then just gets thrown into his own team. Kassin tries to get a massive combo right here, which does look pretty promising, but frankly, everybody has a stopwatch or is tanky and just ignores it, so the only chance that CGA had was just brushed off by DFM. As that's a quadra kill for Arya. They were fishing for the penta.
Oh, that's a quadra. Oh, that's why Arya was so committed to the chase there and why Gang stopped doing his job. That makes a lot more sense. Behind that
power of a penta right here. Almost.
Power of a penta. Yeah, I'm kind of upset that the rest of DFM didn't come to help make sure Arya pick up that kill there. Arya hadn't have a flash. Yeah, sad B on the backside. Like, you denied me my penta. I'm like 25. You can sell the 25 stacks, Arya. You didn't get your penta, mate. Like, I'm sorry, but at that point, sell the Medjais. It ain't worth it.
I mean, if the way that they get pages for this book is by attacking the Mundo and stealing his briefcase, I feel like at this point, Nap must be sat there without an office because of how much Arya has just took from him.
You can't have nothing in Detroit.
They...
yeah, you know exactly.
DFM.
You're not allowed to have anything against DFM, not even a front porch, as Arya loses their front porch apparently on the backside. DFM, Is CGA just making a mad push to try and end the game?
I
think
mean,
they are.
it's not going to end, but I like the just pressure drawing right here. You just have to keep putting up aggressive walls to try and force DFM to
Oh,
react
boy.
to you, but now I feel like they may have reacted and you didn't actually want it.
Yeah, both double hooks missing. TP coming through, head scattered, and Milan loses half his health from one button from Arya, which is a little bit of a problem as Milan's just going to get killed by gang. Run, Milan! No, Milan's going to go down, and Steel says, well, that's one more person down. Nap is being bullied out on the far side. And CGA aren't safe from the bullying there. Cassin tried to do something on the back end of that, but it's not going to work out. And Alchemy buying time, but nothing more, as that is going to go down. And man, that last push from CGA, that could have been so good, but they are simply too far behind.
They just commit to taking the fight after when they could have ran away and just wasted time. This was just the kind of game where you're already lost to a point of no recovery, so the best thing you can do, kind of like Temporal was alluding to earlier, was, you know, make it a slow death and really just inconvenience DFM, as this will be CGA losing their coin flip status by the looks of it. Potentially going to go 0-2, but I feel like DFM still not trying to end. They're going to go for the Baron first. I mean, I get it for the sake of not wanting to throw the game. You are against CGA, so you always need to be worried for it. Midnight, you wanna do this fight because it's just Milan being killed immediately.
Yeah, look at Milan here. Gets caught by the distortion, caught by the dredge line, and then like, what do you do here? As Milan, genuinely, what do you do? There is nothing you can do in that situation. The Thresh is good, but LeBlanc and the Shaco is just straight up better. As no way, wait, what? DFM didn't secure the Baron? And CGA, what? I love CGA's balls here. CGA is a ballsy team, and I respect it beyond all times. DFM trying to trap them in the pit. Steel is posturing, saying, what can I do here? Well, without a jungle, without a mid lane, there might be a bit of a problem there. Baron is still kicking. It will be taken out by one Unipon. Oh, no, mind. Unipon just got a kill. Never mind, I got way too excited there. As it will be Cassin running for the hills there. Ignore that miscast. Cassin will finally die. Oh my god, wait, what's the TP? Who's TPing into the lane? Wait, Arya, what are you doing, bro? What is Arya's going to end the game here against Nap and Nayu?
I've just been given info from LJL expert. Arya has not died on LeBlanc this year. So they are unkilled on this pick right now. Maybe CGA could get the one upsetting factor. That is the only thing they could do. This game is so beyond out of their hands right now. Every desperation play backfires. Yeah, they stop the Baron, but they don't get anything with it. Okay, cool. But now DFM can just go secure this Ocean Dragon. This is really just CGA saying, all right, maybe one day somebody goes out of position. Maybe we could get another one of those really sick picks onto Utapon, and then Arya, and then kill the other three, because that's realistically the only way you can win this game. I don't think that's going to happen. So this is just trying to play spoiler to Arya's KDA at this point.
I mean, it can work, because look at Arya's build. He hasn't got any defensive items. No Zonyas. It is raw damage and cooldown reduction. So in theory, if CGA wanted to play spoiler sports, which they should, I think you just fully commit onto Arya, ruin the KDA.
I don't think you can stop the win streak. Exactly. I don't think you can stop the win streak, but you can get Mundo his job back. Helping a struggling doctor get back into their line of work, is that not really the ultimate victory that CGA are looking for right here? I think so.
Exactly. That's what we need in this day and age, is we need to give the doctors their respect. As Arya shoving in the middle lane. Cassin is actually just off getting red buff. They're enough an adventure like Bilbo Baggins. Like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. As seeing Nap's passive forced out. The second inhibitor goes down. Now DFM could look to simply go for 3 inhibitors, but instead they look like they're going for the fight, as Cassin less than half health before the fight begins. Nayu has a massive shield courtesy of the Sterix Gauge, but DFM are just sieging in the Baroned up CGA, and I'm not so sure CGA has what it takes to make it out of here alive. Nexus turret taken down low, but not taken down yet as the siege continues.
It's a slow process. They are going in.
I got so excited there for Arya. Oh my lord, Cassin! That could be the sign of life if Milan was actually involved in the fight, but unfortunately the AD carry was back at base. Throws out that Chains of Corruption, get a little bit of damage, but Milan, gotta be careful, buddy. Arya is hunting you down like an animal. And I think if you'd have put him before the chakrams, finally it's enough. There we go. Milan panicked stopwatches is going to go down, and that will be DFM taking the win over CGA in 33 minutes. It's what you'd hope to expect looking at the matchup.
3-0 on Super Week so far, with their final game going to be the end of our little rotation here. It is our 4th game of the day versus Rascal Jester, where, depending on how they do next match versus Sengoku, could very well spell the fight for first place. We'll have to see how that goes. Midnight, any initial thoughts, or should we just chuck to a quick break and go over to Temporal?
Yeah, let's let Temporal play the game a little bit. I feel like it's a little unfair to have our conversation and Temporal's just sort of locked in the basement, like,
I'm here
please,
too,
I want to
guys.
talk. So we'll go to a short break, guys. When we come back, it's time to take a closer look at that last game.
We were born from night before there even was a dawn. So pure, so bright, falling from the skies above into our darkened fate. The time has come, walking through this world we bear the secret of our lives, the light we share. Caught in destiny we shine, for we are meant to be the star guardians. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, we're running out of time, we're chasing the light. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, piercing through the dark, we burn on and on and The thought of us stuck in my mind. I long for the days when we were young. The sound in my heart, the light in your eyes. But now I drown in tears, I cry, yelling your name into the rain. Don't push me away, let's head for the sky. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade.
Welcome back, LJLs. What a game there for game 2 of the day. We mentioned it was going to look one-sided. I didn't think it would be quite so stylish, but DFM showing up big time. I've only got a couple of notes from that last game, and I'm not going to lie, most of them just say LeBlanc in big letters. Melvin, pick your favorite LeBlanc highlight.
I feel like it has to be that bot lane replay where we had everybody TP down, and in the 5v5, Arya somehow managed to carry the fight by playing LeBlanc like it's intended, as a raw deceiver, jumping in the fight, bursting out a member, then looking like they're running away, and then pivoting right back to get the second kill onto Alchemy, just putting the bot lane in shambles for CGA. And I feel like after that point, they never really were able to recover. There was one good play that they got subsequently, I believe, taking the score to 4-2, and then it just went downhill for CGA. There was no good plays from the team after that point. It was just DFM looking too clean.
Midnight, your favorite LeBlanc replay, except the one Melvin's already had.
I think my favorite LeBlanc replay has got to be the one where it's not even a big replay. It was basically popped in half health Milan in the mid lane and then just ran away and said, "All right, guys, you have fun with him." And then Gang's like, "Ooh, something to play with," and just like smashed him in the head with an anchor. Like I think that was my favorite because it was Arya simply like, "Here's your plate, go get your meal." It's just unfortunately Milan is stuck on the plate.
Even though Milan got away with a sliver of health a whole bunch of times, didn't put the brakes on the DFM train. It is a train now. Melvin, you mentioned at the end of the game a message from our resident expert. That is a deathless, undefeated LeBlanc. And we've only seen a couple of those in the history of League of Legends. So when this champion goes well, it goes really well. We're getting some old vibes from Faker here today. At least I am. This is looking like the undefeated Demon Kings LeBlanc pickup, and I am so excited to see if it becomes a permaban or we get much more of the Clown and the Jester in the mid lane. Well, you can work out who's who at home. Oh, it was just so one-sided. Like even with the Desperation Baron, even with the barrel play down mid, just so easy and so clean for DFM to play around this midnight. You've mentioned that LeBlanc doesn't even have to just do all the LeBlanc things, just setting up for the teammates around the map and DFM able to play through this style so well. Is there anything else that you've looked particularly impressed with from DFM? Even when the LeBlanc's there or not, they're just something that doesn't truly involve LeBlanc. What can they go to? Because this is never getting through pick ban again, right? Please.
Oh, it should.
LJL teams, just do it.
If LeBlanc is getting through pick and ban, I think you're basically just telling DFM, "Hey, abuse us for the next half an hour, please," because he's so damn good on the champion. You're not taking the counter matchups. We saw the Lulu earlier today. It actually didn't do horribly in lane. It did relatively well to help the game out, even though I hate the champion. There are other counter picks to LeBlanc, like a Morgana, which you could try and lock in. How you could do the EDG composition, where it's pretty much, see that LeBlanc? Screw it. That they pulled out at MSI. There are so many ways to handle it, and no one's doing it. So if you're not going to draft around it, ban the damn thing, because if you ban the LeBlanc, Steel's probably not going to lock in Shaco. So you've locked out two problem champions that you just don't want to deal with. But I don't know. I'm still just, it's still beyond me that LeBlanc is being given to Arya and no one's really doing anything about it. Like, please.
It is the gift that keeps on giving. Melvin, are there any other parts of the dynamic here for DFM that particularly impressed you or you would look to see in future games?
I think that Ebby is just continuing to be an annoyance on the side lane. Against the Mundo, you're not really allowed to do anything aggressive on the set, but they still played lane just fine. They kept farming up, and then in the team fights, they were just the nuisance we were expecting. Thing I will say, looking later into the day, 2 games time, I'm going to allude to the second one we have in a moment of Sengoku versus Rascal Jester. We'll have to see how that goes for current form, but Rascal Jester looking pretty good yesterday, pulling out this Sejuani Yone Viego comp. They're against DFM, and we'll have to see if that could be that battle for first place, if Rascal Jester can keep paddling their way above the seemingly unstoppable DFM that we have got right now.
Would be a clash of titans in the extreme. Talking of draft sins, there was a set there on Blue 1 for DFM. We saw a Dr. Mundo locked in after it. Now, from what I can tell so far, the LJL is pretty affectionate towards this Dr. Mundo. They enjoy it. They play it a lot. If they want to tank in the neutral, it seems to be the go-to. Locked in after the set, who is the premier percentage health tank killer in the top lane. You guys didn't seem super impressed. Would you rather have seen something else? Would you rather have seen a different approach to the game? How do we fix this Doctor right now, Midnight?
You revert the rework. That's how you fix Dr. Mundo. I said it on cast, I will say it again.
I'm going to caveat that with pre-rework Dr. Mundo loses harder to set.
I don't disagree with that, but I feel like he actually, because at least at that point, he's a damage tank. He does something. He does damage. You look at this Dr. Mundo, I'll tell you a good equivalent of what this is. The old Dr. Mundo was like a German Shepherd, okay? 8 out of 10 chance that if you pick on this dog, it's going to eat your arm. the new Dr. Mundo is kind of like a French bulldog. It looks a little bit ridiculous. It's short, it's stubby, it may make a terrifying noise, but at the end of the day, all it wants is belly rubs. Like, it ain't gonna harm you. Like, this feels night and day when you look at what it actually provides to the team. I
I'm
went way
learning
too
new
deep there.
things today, and
Yeah,
I'm
this
all
was not
here
what I was
for it.
expecting to get
No,
in this game, but you know what? I like it.
I'm here. I'm here for the belly rubs. Melvin, what would you do to fix the doctor or otherwise fix the team composition?
Okay, I don't want to talk more about Mundo because this pick just continues to infuriate me. The biggest issue with it is it's a selfish tank, right? He doesn't offer anything to help the team. He is just a HP bar that stands in the way, which is only being propped up by the fact that Anathema's Chains has come out, meaning that they can actually offer something effectively in a fight if you have CC elsewhere. If that item wasn't in the game, this champion would likely never get picked, or at least would continue to never win games, but we get that right now anyway, so you know, we're fine there. As for other tanks that I feel like can fill in a similar position while maintaining relatively similar weaknesses, why aren't teams picking Ornn? The enemy locks in a Felios, why not just do Ornn? It does the same thing as Mundo, the only difference is Set can't bully the Mundo as hard as they could bully an Ornn, but it just gives you so many tools later on to at least access. Try to think of other things. Malphite is available. That one could just run away from Set. A nuisance indeed. Also, just a last little caveat. Why are you still banning Gwen on blue side and then first picking a Set? I get that Ebby is a very, very good Set. That's fine. But are DFM allergic to Gwen? If she sticks around in the meta, which she's likely to do heading into playoffs and worlds, I need to see this team play it at least a little bit.
All right, we've identified at least one hole, and I'm going to go one step deeper. If you're going to ban Tryndamere anyway, just pick the Gwen yourself. Like, come on, guys. You've taken the Premier counter off the board. Sure, no one really wants to play it, but you've just convinced me that Nahun plays it by banning it away. So what's going on here? Huh? What's going on? So maybe one particular arrow that we don't find in DFM's quiver will be interesting to see, because clearly they can deal with it against it. Maybe a force onto it or some sort of wiggle towards it through a meta shift, a potential chink in DFM's armor. I think we're going to go to a break real soon, and we'll be back not in a million years with the start of Game 3 here on the second half of LJL Super Week. Gosh, isn't that a mouthful? As I scurry very quickly to remind myself.
Sengoku Rascal Jester.
That's the one, Sengoku Rascal Jester.
The Copium.
The copium is in. I too have changed my name Red in our server, hidden away. I'm Burning Core. I love you. It'll change back sooner or later. You are always there in my heart. But right now, I'm here for Crash. I'm here for Sengoku as they continue to chase the middle of the pack with the playoff dreams not looking too bright, but definitely not extinguished. Stay tuned. We'll be back real soon.